So, welcome to another video where today we're going over the top 5 cars in Midnight Racing Tokyo. I want to make this clear, this is my own opinion on the 5 best cars that I've been using recently and are in no means actually statistically proven. So take this with a grain of salt. If you like a car better than this, let me know in the comment section and I will pin your comment. Also, these cars aren't in any particular order, so yeah, if you think it's a weird order, that it is because there's no order. So to start with, we're going to go for the R34 Skyline GTR, Nissan Skyline GTR. Now this may look weird, but it's because it's a police Skyline. Like, I made it into a police car. Pretty cool, right? So this is good because recently I feel like it got buffed with the chassis 1.2 update. And you know, it's good at drifting now for some reason. I don't understand why. Even with traction control on it, drifts very well. And yeah, it's just an all-around good car. It's got a good speed, it's got good acceleration. Like, look how fast it's climbing in acceleration right now. We'll take it for a spin down the longest road in Tokyo City. Also, with the new ECU update, it's cool because it has backfire. You know, the speed is raised. You have a quicker gear shift in an automatic, which is really cool, and it has some of the sickest body kits on the entire game. So 256, 259, 260. If the road was long enough, I bet you could get 300 kilometers or even 330, 320, 330 top. It's crazy. It's really good. So that's the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR. Okay, in my next spot is the Evo 9. For some reason, the wheel's coming through the front. So the cool thing about this car is it has a really good amount of grip. You can also drift it apparently. Whoa. I don't know what the chassis update has done to these cars, but now all-wheel drive cars are very driftable for some reason. If you can drift, apparently I can't. The good thing about this car is it has a good acceleration, it has good top speed, it has, you know, good handling. I was racing this car in my R34 and someone had a really good tune on it and they were zooming down the road like faster than my Skyline was in straight roads. You can make this car like probably go, I reckon, 340, 330 with a good enough tune. Because it's definitely better than the Skyline if you tune it right. And also the body kits on this thing are really cool. Like, look at this front end. Look how aggressive this front end looks. But yeah, that's the Evo 9. And I highly suggest this car. I feel like it's one of those good all-around cars. Players who want to get into sort of handling. So for some reason the S15 got nerfed recently and it kind of destroyed my drift build. So I got this build as well, which is still drifting decently, but not as good as it used to. But the reason this is on the list is it still can bring up good speed. I mean, it's not as good as it used to be, but it still is relatively good if you've got a good enough tune. And it still can drift if your tune is good enough. And just the body kits on this thing look really, really aggressive and nice. Like, look at this front end. I don't know about the rear wheels. I might change the rear wheels. I think the chassis update changed the ride height and such, but that's something can be fixed. But the S15 is honestly one of those cars that, well, it used to be the best drift car in my opinion, but now it's definitely not. But it still builds up good acceleration. It's not as good as the others, obviously, and it's not as good as it used to be. It can drift decently, and also it handles pretty well. This is one of the cars that you can keep in a straight line relatively easy. And when you're turning corners, oh, I'm capping out at 216 right now because of the tune, but when you're turning corners, you can easily, you know, if you start drifting, you can easily control it. Like right here, I'll show you. Well, it's easier than it used to be because this thing just doesn't drift anymore, but I feel like some of that is partially due to the fact that I haven't got weight reduction on this thing. I should probably get weight reduction for this thing and then test it, but yep. S15 still decent, but not as good as it once was. Next on the list, we have the Supra. It's obviously the Mark IV Supra. This sort of body kit explains everything itself. Look how crazy cool this looks. But also it builds speed pretty well, actually. It's got a high top speed. We're in 5th gear at 200 kilometers. We've not even hit 6th gear yet. And I'm sure if you get get better gear ratios and such, this thing will literally fly across the map. Like, I was racing a Supra the other day. We were going back and forth down this road, and the thing, although it wasn't faster than my R34, with a little bit of tuning, it definitely could be, because I feel like that Supra was stock and it was still keeping up pretty well. So I feel like with the proper tuning, this thing could be one of the fastest cars in the game. Now, as for drifting, I mean, it slides obviously, but I don't think it's made that well for drifting unless, of course, you tune it. I'm sure there's tunes out there that can make it work. But I would say this is one of the cars I wouldn't really drift. Maybe with weight reduction, I could see it becoming a drift car, but at the moment as it is, it seems a bit too heavy to drift. Yeah, it just doesn't go sideways too well. But apart from that, it's one of the coolest cars on this list, I think. And you could do a lot of designs to this, and obviously tuning can make this thing very good in different areas. Now this one's going to be an obvious choice, but it's the Lamborghini Countach. Now, last time I said Diablo, I don't know why I said Diablo in that last video. I for sure got a lot of comments saying, Matters, this isn't a Diablo, this is a Countach. Why did you say Diablo? And I understand, okay? You guys are right, it is a Countach. And I knew back then it was a Countach, but for some reason, the word Diablo came out of my mouth. So yeah, the Lamborghini Countach. Obviously, it's one of the fastest cars in the game, if not the fastest. I just somehow stalled. I'm going 130 in third gear. Fourth gear, we're hitting 200. Like, with gear ratios, a bit of tuning in the gear ratios, a bit of tuning in everything else. This car's just really, really fast. It handles well, obviously. As for drifting, I'm not really too sure. I mean, I don't really use this for drifting because I don't think it drifts that well. But with rate reduction now being in the game, I'm sure you can make a drift build with almost any car in this game. If it's fast enough, and if it is maybe rear-wheel drive or wheel drive, then you probably could. I don't know much about front-wheel drive on this game. Put slight rate reduction on this and you probably have a drift car. I mean, it would definitely send it faster. It's got crazy cool body kits too. As you can see, this is just one of the examples with the rear end having a Lamborghini LP5000. And yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this car in terms of body kits. It's not just one sort of body kit that everyone uses. There are tons of options. I think that's what makes this car so cool. You know, there's so much you can do with it. Obviously, it's one of the more expensive cars in this game, so definitely need to grind up the money. Same with the Ford GT. I haven't really tried the Ford GT. I'm sure it's going to be one of the top 5 cars in my next video. Lamborghini LP5000, my go-to car if I'm trying to hit top speed or if I'm racing someone. This will be my go-to car because it grips really well, and yeah, it's just got high speed and high acceleration. So yeah, that's my top 5 cars. Obviously, as I said, no order. Let me know your favorite cars in the comments below, or what cars you think could deserve a place on the next list. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed. I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know what videos you would like to see, whether it's Midnight Race in Tokyo, Jailbird, or even another game. Maybe we can do some other games on the second channel. Let me know in the comments below, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.